We'll talk about Klaus after we get off YouTube, but are there any questions from any of you guys about anything we've covered so far? Yes.
You mentioned yesterday that the people who would be the most successful are the people who connect with the shit that's gone in the past and stuff. What's your recommendation on how to...
So, rephrase that again slower for the YouTubers.
Sure. So you mentioned yesterday about connecting with your past. The people who do that the best will be the most successful. What, in your recommendation, would be the best way to do that?
By reconnecting with the past, he means, vis-a-vis what I mentioned, that we all have baggage. Some of us have enough to put in steamships, have a caravan, across the ocean behind us. But some of us have a lorry or a truckload, and some of us have a little suitcase worth of baggage. Not too many people have a little suitcase worth of baggage. And the sooner that you come to the realization as a person that you've got that baggage and that you're a product of not only your social and economic milieu or your socioeconomic status or the lack thereof, but you're a product of that baggage, i.e. your parents and the 5 people that raised you, the better off you are. Most people don't talk about it unless you go to therapy. And even now, the new time therapists wait and they sit there, I'm told, or at least what you kids tell me, and when you get around to mentioning it, then you talk about it. But if you never mention it, you never fucking talk about it. The old time therapists, the Freud kind of guys at that end of the continuum, rip it out of you. Why do you think you're a cunt, Joel? Did you really want to fuck your mother? I mean, how long did you breastfeed? Okay. But that's not politically correct anymore. They don't do that kind of shit anymore. And I use examples, and I don't know if they're accurate anymore, but Barbra Streisand and Woody Allen, 2 famous entertainers, allegedly, purportedly, have been in therapy 50 years each. 50. Well, I think of the money spent, but and the time. Now, whether that's true or not, I know a lot of people that are in therapy 20, 30 years. Well, we don't have 20, 30 fucking years for this deal. And so the sooner you come to that realization and you get the information up on the table, so to speak, instead of deep in the recesses of some basement someplace, i.e. your subconscious, the better off you are. And some people, not some people, most, well, who do I talk to about this, Dan? Well, the guys I go out and fart and belch with at the pubs and the bars. Those are your sounding boards now. Maybe your fucking hag of a wife or girlfriend. That's your sounding board now. And even though, it's like they say love is blind. I'm not so sure that's accurate. I'm not so sure that's what it means. But most of your mates and partners accept you for who you are. Whether that's good or bad, I could give a whole other seminar on. I'm not going to talk about that. But the bottom line, they accept you for who you are, and I'm sure the YouTubers here think that's a good thing. Whereas I don't. When I hear some of and I don't have that many mates, as you would call them, not that many, maybe that many, 3. But when they talk shit, I say, what the fuck's wrong with you? What are you talking that shit for? Remember I talked about tacit approval. When you sit and listen to the bullshit from your parents, from your mates, from your spouses, significant others, and you just sit there and you're just going to listen. You're not even going to nod your head. The fact that you didn't say, that's shit, what's wrong with you? You're giving tacit approval. And God forbid, Allah forbid, if you nod your head, because they'll take that as you agree with them. Then they'll go away and they'll say, I was sitting with Will 2 weeks ago, and I told him this shit, and he agreed. And you don't really agree, Will. You think it's shit. but you're being politically correct and nice, okay? Like a couple of things I told you last night at dinner. Will sat next to me at dinner. We don't discriminate here. He's a brother, okay? And I mean, your eyes roll back in your head. Really? Yeah, you said a couple of times. Because we're different from different backgrounds. So the next time your significant other says it's absolute off-the-wall fucking horseshit, you still probably don't have the nuts to say something about it. But just remember what the old man said. Well, I'm just digging my fucking hole deeper now because I don't have the balls to say anything about it. And for those that are married, because you want to fuck your wife or your partner that night, and you know if you piss her off, you're not going to get any. Calling a spade a shovel like they do here in Yorkshire. So you just keep your fucking mouth shut. So what's more important, getting laid or fulfilling your dreams? Well, your dream in short term was getting laid that night. So so what's more important? So to get it up on the table, get it out in the open and talk about it. For the next year, I'm your sounding board. For the next year. Well, I've got guys on the sounding board for 20 plus years for some of the guys up there. And that's fine. We've had people going back and confront their parents. I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, manner, or form you go back that you've been a weenie dick all your fucking life and now you're going to go back and confront your dad and mom. I'm not suggesting that, YouTube, so don't give me any shit. But we have had people that do that. It's very cathartic. It's like you're cleansed. But I'm not suggesting you do it because it's not easy. You know, we've had kids, men and women, that have been physically abused, sexually abused by their parents. They know you know, and you know that they know you know. But you never say anything about it. Something you don't talk about. Well, you want to... Now, I'm being sarcastic now. If you want to have some fucking fun, you go back and bring that up, and that'll be... the shit will hit the fan like you never... First thing is denial. I didn't do it. Where'd you ever think of that? Who told you that? Did your mother tell you that? Did your father... And then it goes from there. And it's all uphill. It's not downhill. And so, but it's cathartic. And that's what psychotherapy is about. And I read you the slide yesterday with Sean Casey, one of my mentees, said the difference between QLA and psychotherapy was. But it's very cleansing. It's very cleansing. But just talking about it, when you filled out your forms to get here, and you put all the stuff down, and I asked a lot of hard questions, and several of you commented, this is hard for me to fill out. I'm sick to my stomach answering these questions because you've suppressed it. You've suppressed the information. It's not that you didn't know the information. It's a hard thing to say that I've been a weenie all my life. I've never stuck up for myself. I mean, that's hard to think it, let alone say it and write it. And the reason why we write it is because it's different about thinking it, and it's different that you say it, but when you fucking write it and memorialize it forever. Those answers you gave me, guys, are for fucking ever. Now, I'm not putting it on my iPhone and putting it on YouTube. Although a couple of you asked me, what do I do with this information? It's going in my archives, in my time capsule. And 1,000 years from now, when fucking aliens open it up, they're going to know that Simon was a weenie. They're going to know that Paul was a weenie. They're going to know that rape was a weenie. They're going to know that. But 1,000 years from now some of you, that'll bother. Well, fuck. We've kept it a secret in our family for fucking 300 years, and now in 1,300 years, everybody's going to know I was just a fucking cunt. A weenie, and that's the real reason I wasn't successful. And that's the real reason none of my family members were successful. And the truth of the matter is, this is a blanket statement. This is a Trumpism, which is the exaggeration. Most people aren't more successful because Well, no, they aren't more successful because of lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, etc. But it's generational. From one generation to the next generation to the next generation, your parents taught you, your grandparents taught them, etc. And I've told you, we've had grandfathers, grandmothers, mothers, kids, and they all go, they all shake their head, But what's really fun is then graduation night when everybody's drinking, and the mother, was telling the dad, and the grandkid is telling, I'm lucky, shit, I'm lucky I didn't blow my brains out having you two, the grandparents, grandfather, and the mom. Did I answer your question? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So to clarify, I think what you're saying is overall or in general, setting boundaries and then spot checking, correcting, calling them out, or calling whomever out the offender is.
It's not. Let me stop it. It's not so much boundaries. If you go forward from this time, from when you leave here, and whenever you hear bullshit, you say so. QLA will be the easiest motherfucker that you ever did. If you, tell and spot and that's bullshit. You don't even have to say why it's bullshit, because as soon as you say that, the person saying it will know it's bullshit. They've always known it's bullshit. And one of the main reasons that I won't say none of the other coaches like me, but not too many of them like me, is because what they say is bullshit. And I tell them it's bullshit. But they tell you bullshit because they're selling you something. I keep saying that. And I give all my shit away free. Except this. And again, YouTubers, 99.999% of the people that have made tons of money and saved the world with their tons of money, I have never met, talked to, Skype fucked, face fucked, YouTube fucked, link fucked. I wouldn't know them if they pissed on my foot. The people that I've touched are the people that, when I used to give other seminars, and the people that have come here to the castle, and that's it. And so, but it's cleansing. Like I told you, one of the Hall of Famers up there said, the difference between Dan and virtually everybody else is Dan says what we think. You know when you hear bullshit. You all do. And a lot of stuff that parents give their kids is bullshit. Because your dad gave you the same bullshit. And you know it. It's one of the great things about I told you, my dad's only gave me 2 bits of advice while he was alive. He died in his early 90s. Because he knew virtually everything parents, because he didn't have a dad. His dad died before he was born. He knew virtually everything that parents tell their kids is bullshit. So he just didn't say anything. He says, Dan will figure it out himself. I made a lot of mistakes, stepped on my dick a lot, but I did figure it out myself. So it's not just setting boundaries. It's when you hear bullshit, you say it. I got in a lot of trouble in the military because of that. Because I was a young officer and major, that sounds like bullshit to me. Is it true, Mr. Lieutenant Peña, that you have aspirations of staying in the Army and being a career Army officer? I said, yes, sir. Well, you better learn. You better learn that there's bullshit and then there's my bullshit. I still remember getting chewed out for that. I got chewed out a lot, but any other questions about that? Okay, YouTubers. By the way, the movie that I think you were asking about was a movie called Wick. John Wick, excuse me, John Wick. My sounding board here that knows everything. John Wick. Okay, thank you, YouTube.